Live from our studio here in Accra, this is Jordan's Prime with me, Samuel Kojo Brace. Now, coming up this hour, standoff in negotiations between independent power producers and government as the finance ministry insists the IPPs must take a haircut or risk not being paid.
Done that to you, we've done that to myself. I don't know about Ato if he had bonds. And Ghanaians accepted this challenge. They sacrificed so much, and we thank them for that sacrifice. We are doing the same thing to our external, creditors. So how about IPPs?
We have the latest as fresh dispute emerge over how much exactly the IPPs are owed by the state. Now, will the power producers shut down their plant as earlier threatened? We'll get you details of this. Now, also coming up in this bulletin, the number of persons living with HIV in Ghana has gone up, breaking the 2021 figures slightly. But the Ghana AIDS Commission is happy about it. We'll tell you why the commission says it is happy, as it is on the lookout for some 100,000 persons who have the virus but are unaware and spreading it. Now, it is now a full-blown standoff pitching independent power producers firmly against the government over hugely accumulated debt. The finance ministry has confirmed to Joy News the IPPs must now accept a haircut on what they are owed or risk not being paid at all. In fact, a fresh dispute has also erupted over the exact amount owed the IPPs. The power producers had insisted they are owed $2.3 billion and declared they will not accept any form of debt restructuring. Listen to CEO of the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Eliklim Apetogbo.
I think our engagement is not about debt restructuring. It's about a discussion in relation to how government should settle our arrears and what solution do you have for the current invoices going forwad, as well as renegotiation of some terms of our power purchase agreement. So I think that is the reality of our engagement.
So have you agreed to restructure the arrears, the debt that you're owed?
We've made our position known emphatically regarding the debt restructuring, that we are not open to that. We are open to a discussing the payment plan of our arrears. When we are talking about debt restructuring, it's a question of what do you want to restructure. We have made our position known that our arrears in questions relates the cost of our services. And also, we indicated that our arrears are actually obligations that we have owed to our stakeholder, particularly the lenders. Again, suggesting that implies that IPPs have some free cash flow over there, for which we are pressing them to accept a debt restructure, which is actually not the case. So for debt restructuring, I'm sure to tell you that it's not a position the IPPs will accept.
Well, on PM Express last night, the Minister of State at the Finance Ministry, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, who has been leading the government negotiations team, declared there cannot be any compromise over government's determination to restructure the debt. He says the power producers must take a haircut. But why is government imposing a haircut on amount agreed from power consumed and not paid for? How is that fair? That's a question my colleague Evans Mensah put to the Minister of State.
The people who had the bonds didn't acquire the bonds.
I took a haircut, by the way. So,
yes.
I have a legitimate right to answer that question.
It's a principle, yes.
No, but
we are doing that.
We ask the same
We've done
questions.
that to you. We've done that to myself. I don't know about Ato if he had bonds. And Ghanaians accepted this challenge. They sacrificed so much, and we thank them for that sacrifice. We are doing the same thing to our external, creditors. So how about IPPs? What makes IPP so unique that, we cannot apply the principle to them?
In our case,
because
you told
everybody that we have applied the principle to has done something for us. Some have bought our bonds. Some have provided services. Some have given us loans to undertake government projects. So the principle is the principle. And we are very happy that a lot have responded positively, particularly the people of Ghana.
Okay, the people of Ghana.
And I expect IPPs to also respond positively.
Anyway. Okay. And if they don't, in our case, you told us if we don't accept it, you won't be able to pay. In the IPP's case,
it's the same.
Okay.
It's the same. Where's the money? We have to raise the money together. And they have to understand that we have to raise the money to be able to pay them.
Isaac Ofieje of our research desk joins me live in studio with more on this particular subject. Isaac, there are issues with the debt. What more do we know about this?
Well, so currently about 5 groups have been asked to come back to the negotiation table for fresh talks, and IPPs are involved. Pension funds, dollar-denominated loans, bonds, and also Bank of Ghana, non-tradable debt are all invited to come back to the negotiation table for fresh talks. This is the reason. If you look at IPPs, for instance, currently they are saying the debt that government owes them is around 2.3 billion, US dollars. If you look at the position in, March 2023 this year, IPPs made it clear that government was owing them about 1.4 billion. So from 1.4 billion in March 2023 to 2.3 billion brace is around 71%, rise. So it means that day in and day out, as government delays in paying IPPs their monies, the debt is actually increasing. So we know 5 groups have been asked to come back to the negotiation table, and IPPs are involved. They've made their position very clear that they don't want any form of restructuring. The only thing that they are open to is a discussion on payment plan. So if you are going to discuss payment plan, and it means you are not going to agree on debt restructuring, and you can actually see the trend in terms of the IPP debt from March to August 2022. So right from 2023, from 1.4 billion US dollars, now we are talking about somewhere 2.3 billion. But government is actually questioning this figure, saying that they believe that they are owing IPPs less than this amount. IMF was very categorical that government should do an auditing of this figure because they believe that it's too high and it's actually in dollars. So you have to look at it really well. Now, you may ask the question, if IPPs, they decide to cut power, what will actually be the implication? So we decided to do this analysis for you. So we picked this from Ghana's energy sector report, and we actually see that IPPs, their installed capacity is around 4,132 megawatts, and our total capacity as a nation is just a little over 5,400 megawatts. So if you compare that of IPPs to it, it means that IPPs comprise about 75.4% of our total installed capacity, and even dependent capacity, they are holding about 83%. So that makes it very, very government's finding it in a difficult situation.
Okay. Now, CEO of the Chamber of Independent Power Producers, Eliklim Apetogbo, joins us now for more on this. Grateful to you for joining us. Now, government says it's either you take the proposed amount on the table or your REX not being paid at all. What do you say to that? Grateful for joining us. Now, government says it's either you take the proposal they have on the table or your REX not being paid at all. Your response?
I do not want to comment on that posture of a negotiation because this is a debt that you genuinely owed me. I have provided a service to you for which you deserve to pay me. You fail to pay on due date. I expect you to approach me in a fair manner, asking that due to ABCD, I will not be able to honor my obligation. Can you stagger my payment for me to be able to honor it? I think that approach makes it more decent for us to talk about.
But are you willing to accept, a payment plan that, well, we cannot pay all in bulk. This is what we can do.
That is what we've been saying all along. We are open to a discussion or a negotiation on a payment plan based on what you can do. But we objected emphatically that we do not accept a haircut on our arrears.
So it means that if government says, because the minister is saying that everybody took a haircut, so you have to also take it as well. Are you saying that if that becomes the issue, you won't accept it? And if you won't, what will you do?
Honestly, I do not expect him to make such analysis. One, the one who holds bond is actually a lender to the government. Which money do you lend? It's your savings, your profits. or a money that you do not have use for, but you are talking about my business capital, you are asking me to accept a haircut. How do I continue in my business operation? Imagine, how do I manage my operations cost? How do I manage my recurrent? You know, I was surprised at that kind of analogy, but it is unacceptable, excuse me to say.
Okay.
So I am talking about the cost of service that I have rendered. I provided the service, utilized it, pay me, and you are telling me that I should accept a haircut on what is due me. It's unfair.
So if government says, well, this is what I have, what will you do?
Like I said, what they can afford in the interim is acceptable. They should tell us going forward, or how do I intend paying what is left.
I mean, when they say they will give you a haircut, you're saying that you won't accept it at all. And I'm asking, what will you do if government says that's my position? I'm not moving away from it.
The issue is when I'm constrained in my to operate my power plant, definitely I have to go off.
Okay. All right. Grateful to you for joining us, sir. So that's the CEO of the Independent Power Producers now. Let's take you to Niger now, because military ruled Burkina Faso and Mali have warned any military intervention in Niger to restore deposed President Mohamed Bazoum would be considered a declaration of war against their two countries. The warning comes as a day after West African leaders threatened to use force to reinstate the democratically elected Bazoum and slapped financial sanctions. Meanwhile, France says it is preparing to evacuate its citizens from the West African nation of Niger because of anti-French sentiment. Following last week's desk, he has been putting together some data on the development in Niger. Kofi, what have we gathered so far on what's happening?
So what we do know is that right from 2020 that we saw the rise in the total number of coups and attempted coups in especially the West African sub-region. Almost all the countries that we've been monitoring are Francophone countries. So right from Guinea-Bissau to Niger to Mali to Burkina Faso are all connected to the French. And all of these countries have had, one way or the other, a successful coup or an attempted coup. But if you look at this data, it tells you a very, very a worrying picture of coups in Africa. Right from 1990, we've had about 84 coups, 84 coups and attempted coups in Africa. 43 of them have been successful. So we computed this from SBM Intelligence, actually. So they computed the success rate of a coup in Africa, and it's around 50%. So it means that if you attempt a coup in Africa, the probability of
you succeeding
is 50%, based on these two numbers, coup, the attempted coups and the successful ones. Now, let's also look at, a different indicator to this whole thing. So we decided to constrain it right from 1990 to 1999. That's when we had majority of coups, 26 of them in this short period. Now, if we can have the most recent one, that would be very good. Okay, so right from 2010 to 2019, we've had 36, also a very huge number. And the last one that we want to look at, which will paint a perfect picture for us. So this is it. 2020 to 2023, 9 coups. This is just 3 years, right? So if you strike the average, we are not even done with 2023. So it means that every year you have
3 coups.
3 coups. And that's a very worrying situation in the sub-region, or even in the West African sub-region as well.
Very interesting pictorial evidence there. Now, head of our diplomatic and foreign affairs desk, Blessed Soga, joins us on Zoom. Blessed, what is the latest on the summit of military chiefs in the sub-region? Take you to Senegal now, because Senegalese authorities have dissolved the African Patriot of Senegal for Work, Ethics and Fraternity, PASTEF, the country's main opposition party. The dissolution was carried out on Monday, July 31, citing a serious and permanent breach of Article 4 of the country's constitution, leading to loss of lives. The detention of Senegalese opposition figure Ousmane Sonko on Monday sparked new protest, killing 2 in the southeast city of Zinkuncha. In a statement, the Interior Minister Antoine Felix Abdoulaye Diome accused the party of promoting rebellious movement that resulted in the looting and plunder of public and state property. Earlier, the country's communication ministry restricted internet access due to what it called the spread of, quote, hate messages, unquote, on social networks. In response, Ousmane Sonko, the detained Senegalese opposition leader, has declared a hunger strike and invited all political detainees to join him. Now, for a deeper understanding of this development, we now connect live to the Senegalese capital, Dakar, where we will speak with journalist Amadou Barry via Zoom. Now, grateful to you, Amadou, for joining us here. Now, how are Ousmane Sonko's supporters taking this development?
Thank you very much for having me from Ghana. Welcome to Senegal. So Senegal is, Dakar here. There are a lot of tension since, this announcement of charges yesterday. At least 8 charges has been, announced by the public prosecutor. And for now, you have announced the casualty of 2 people that were killed. I can give an update, say that, there is 3 other people that have been killed and today, 2 right now in a bomb attack here in Dakar, inside a bus. So it's very unfortunate. And yesterday, as you mentioned, at least 3 people, have been killed. 2 in Ziguinchor, southern Senegal, the city where Ousmane Sonko is the mayor, and 1 here in Dakar. So now the official figure, since this sentence of Mr. Ousmane Sonko, at least 5 people have been killed here in Senegal during clashes between police officers and protests.
Wow. Now, we hear Sonko's party is going to court to contest the Interior Ministry's move to dissolve the party. What are their chances by the laws of the country? Yes,
for them, immediately after the announcement of the dissolution of their party, through a statement, a public release, they also respond and say that they are going to attack this, before court, because they found it, unconstitutional and illegal. And this, the dissolution was announced by the country's Ministry of Interior for the reason that you announced, but mainly is that the party that was set up in 2014, kept calling for insurrection or insurgency. So also the announcement was made. The party also replied saying that they are going to attack this before justice. But for them to have a victory from this. Many are skeptical because the decision is from the top, the Interior Minister, and let's be frank and pragmatic. It would be very difficult, for a court here to rule against that decision.
Now, if Sonko is found guilty of breach of Article 4 of the Constitution, what will that mean to his political career?
Yes, Mr. Sonko has been charged for this last case. He was arrested, if you remember, on last Friday. When a gendarme lady, was filming him, according to him, and Mr. Sonko asked the lady to remove the video, and the lady refused. So Mr. Sonko confiscated the mobile phone, and from there he was arrested. Subsequently, 1 hour later. And he was charged firstly for 2 offenses, but the public prosecutor had another offenses, and now all of them are, if you count them, is 8. 8 offenses. And then there's plotting or fomenting insurrection in this country, conspiracy and theft. So you can imagine. And the other case is the other 2 cases is for defamation against the country's Minister of Tourism. And the second one, that one was for alleged rape, and in which he was also sentenced to. Hello.
Yeah, we are with you. Now, generally, what would you say is a security situation in Senegal as we speak?
As we speak, as I said earlier, since yesterday, within 48 hours, at least we can count 5 people that have been killed during clashes between security members and Usman Sonko's supporters. For them, it's too much. And remember, the country is heading to polls.
Okay.
In almost 6 months' time. So for them, he was a hope, and many were expecting that he's going to come.
Okay. Let's see how that turns out, in court. But that's our colleague in Senegal. Former Executive Vice President of Unilever, Yao Nsako, says Ghana has failed to live up to Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's belief that a black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Ghana's founding president is celebrated the world over for reposing absolute faith in the abilities of the black man. But speaking to Evans Mings on PM Express, Mr. Nsako said there is now consensus Ghana has failed to meet Nkrumah's high standards.
Well, I leave it to everybody to make up their mind. I do know that when he stood at the old polo grounds and he said that the black man must show to the world that he's capable of running his own affairs, I do not believe that Ghana in 2023 today fulfills that brief. If there's somebody who believes that it does, I'd like to see the person put up his hand. And I've spoken to many people. Some of them were students of that generation, some of them were young people who were working. I like to sit with much older people who have seen it all. They've seen Ghana unfold and come through. And I asked them all the time, I said, is this what you expected? And almost universally, the answer is no.
He says Ghana needs what he calls a mindset revolution.
The youth of today are no different from the youth of any era. They too want better conditions. They want to live a better life. They want good housing. They want good food. They want good clothes. They want sanitation. They want good health. They want education, etc. They want to get married, have a family. And it is these concerns that drive people. Che Guevara himself said the revolutionary is driven by love. So this sort of empty militancy, people just go, he says a revolutionary is driven by love. It is a willingness to see society become better that drives a revolutionary, not the sort of empty wildcat orientation towards violence and so on that we've come to associate with the word. That's why Fidel Castro, people don't read the book for yourself, describe Jesus Christ as a revolutionary. So when you're talking mindset revolution and so on, which you say we will come to.
What is it, by the way? What is mindset revolution?
Amilcar Cabral and many others famously spoke about. Amilcar Cabral said the first dimension of revolution must necessarily be cultural. Because when you wake up and you say we need to improve, that is an indictment on your current circumstances. The insight into the condition calls for critical reflection and a re-examination of the circumstances that you are in. That is mindset revolution.
Watch the full interview on PM Express later tonight at 9 p.m. here on Joy News. You can also find it across our social media platforms. This is Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with more. Welcome back from the break. Now, the number of persons living with HIV in Ghana has gone up, breaking 2021 figures slightly to reach nearly 355,000 at the end of 2022. New infections, however, declined. That represents an increase of nearly 4,800 more. The Commission presented its latest HIV data, which also showed more than 100,000 people have the virus and are spreading it because they are unaware that they have it. Shortly, we'll hear from the head of our health desk, Fred Smith, on the issues raised by the Commission. First, take a look at the data. Now, if you look at the HIV population estimate for 2022, we have adult, that's 15 years and over, accounting for 330,215. Children between 0 and 14 years account for 24,702. If you take adolescent from 10 to 19 years, we have 21,439. Young people between 15 and 24 years, we have 40,497. So let's look at new infections. Now, we have for adult 15 years and over, 13,706 new infections. For children between 0 and 14 years, we have 2,868. Adolescent between 10 and 19 years, we have 1,791. For young people between 15 and 24 years, we have 4,610. So for total 8 deaths, for adult 15 years and over, 7,179. Children between 0 and 14 years, 2,180. For adolescents between 10 and 19 years who have died as a result of 8, we have 645. And for young people between 15 and 24 years, we have 739. Now, for HIV population by region, Greater Accra leads with 85,403, followed by the Ashanti region with 72,429. Eastern region comes third with 46,339. The Central region follows in fourth with 24,046. Western region comes next with 23,904. Bono follows with 19,281. And that's how it is when you talk about HIV population by region. Joining us now for more on this is head of our health desk, Fred Smith. Fred, I'm eager to know why the Commission will be happy when the HIV population in the country has gone up. Before that, though, run us through the latest figures.
Well, the Ghana AIDS Commission released these figures to indicate the situation in 2022, and in that they discovered that new infections actually went down. However, the HIV population in the country rather shot up, and that's where your question comes in. The Ghana AIDS Commission sees that the antiretrovirals that they're given to persons living with HIV is working, and therefore people are living longer, and they are contributing to the high number of HIV positive population in the country. The latest figures only goes to show that people are actually living risky lives, even though the new infections were down just a bit. There are concerns about how people are living their lives, especially women, when we saw that the number of women who contracted the virus in the year before actually was less than those who contracted it in 2022. Okay. And the Commission is looking at ways to get women to reduce the risky behavior. Okay. And according to the Commission, it says that some of them actually have used hookup and others to meet up with persons they want to have sex with for material gain. And this is causing the spread, and therefore you have one woman or a female who is engaged in sexual activity with a number of men, and they don't even care about the use of condoms to protect themselves against the HIV virus.
And on the issue of HIV population going up, what was the catch?
Well, the catch is that the people are living longer. As I mentioned, people are living longer, and it means that once they live longer, they are not affected that much by the virus because it is suppressed by the antiretrovirals that they've been given at the health facilities. But the concern, though, is that there are more than 100,000 persons who don't even know that they are HIV positive, and the commission says they are on the loose, they are spreading the virus at will across the country, and as a result of this, they've actually launched a campaign to get all of those persons to come forward and test. One way is to ensure that there's free testing. Another is to also ensure that there's a self-test kits available for free, which many people in Ghana can go get themselves the kits, test in the comfort of their homes to ensure that they are not spreading the virus because they will know their status.
So that's Fred Smith there now. He's been speaking to the head of the HIV Commission in Ghana on this particular subject. Listen.
First of all, looking at the HIV population, which is roughly about 355,000, it clearly shows that the sex distribution presents a major concern because the women are disproportionately affected. It is natural that that should be the case, but what is worrying about that is the fact that women are not receiving the needed support they need from men to protect themselves. Why I'm saying that is because 80% of HIV transmission in this country occurs through sexual contact. We are having women not only having multiple sexual partners, which is a major risk in the first place if they are not protecting themselves. But we have more and more young women going into sex work. And some who do not recognize that what they are doing is sex work is actually, they are actually doing exactly what sex workers do.
Explain that.
What I mean is that some of them may not recognize they are doing sex work, but in actual fact, they are doing sex work. Why?
In what way?
Sex work is about exchanging, sex for money or for gifts or any other thing.
Let's bring in Apostle Alexander Nanaya Labi, the General Secretary of the Church of Pentecost now, to look at how the breakdown in the moral fiber of society has contributed to where we are now. Grateful to you for joining us here. What could be the contributory factor to, as people describe, the breakdown in the moral fiber of society, which they claim has led us to where we are?
Thank you very much, and good evening. I think listening and following the discussions, the mode of transmission has not changed over the years. But we as a nation seem to be losing our morals. And I think this is what is causing the increase in these things. You see, morality in the context of handling HIV/AIDS can play a significant role in the shaping of our behaviors and practices. You see, when we lose our ethics, we lose our values, we lose our social norms, we don't seem to have limits and standards, then that's the way to go. You see, in our age and time these days, everything has been sexualized. You look at our adverts, you look at our fashion designs, you look at sports, everything points to activating or arousing sexuality. So I think this is what is feeding into this increase. We seem to be losing our morals and our ethics.
Okay. Once we know what is really wrong, what can religious bodies do to help restore order?
Yeah, I think this fits into what the last week the Church of Pentecost tried to spearhead, as it were, bringing all stakeholders together to discuss this development conference where moral vision was the theme. We really have to go back to the basics. When we were kids, there were limits, there were boundaries. So we want to invite all religious leaders to up our game by teaching morals, high moral standards. Bible explains and Guy says that marriage ought to be honored. People need not be adulterous. People should be able to stay with one partner. Fidelity must be upheld. So leaders of faith, we really have to teach our people how to be godly. Once we raise our moral grounds or standards, I think people will be cautious.
Okay.
It looks like these days cohabitation has become a norm. People don't care whether they've been properly married or not.
Okay.
Once there's money in it, they just do whatever they want to do. So there is honest lies on leaders of faith to teach right biblical principles to our followers.
Grateful to you for joining us, sir. He is the Secretary General of the Church of Pentecost. Now, health workers at the Kenyasi Health Centre have had to refer patients to other hospitals in the Ashanti region as strike by physician assistants takes a toll on the facility. Nurses say over 100 clients have been turned away at the outpatient department due to their inability to manage the industrial action. Some referred patients are also stranded because they cannot afford transport costs to visit other facilities. Nana Boachi Yadom has more in this report.
It's been a week since the physician assistants embarked on a strike to protest what members deem as a move to subject them to the direction and supervision of medical doctors. Patients seeking services at healthcare centres, including CHIP compounds, are feeling the pinch. At the Kenyasi Health Centre, nurses say most referred patients are unable to go to bigger facilities.
Once the PAs are on strike, what we do is we refer the patients to the nearby hospitals to seek medical aid. So currently we are not doing anything. We only come to work, sit down, wait for the afternoon staffs to come, then we hand over our important things and then the word to them. It's over 100. It's over 100, yeah.
And where did they go?
To any nearby hospitals. Because all the health centers are facing the same challenges, so they visit the nearby hospitals.
At the Antua Health Centre, patients are mostly referred to Menchia Government Hospital. Some patients say they have been left stranded.
Said I left one at 30 and made me banana dressing and the or my mamma so we better have empty went back rotate.
We suffer in our community due to the industrial action. Some patients do get stranded. Government must do something about this as soon as possible.
My yama woman, Tim or Monchayen. Miss Rabbins or Mamma woman, Nadi here woman. When your mona said the bear so baby she. Now you are in about hospital and as a doctor so won't show. And ya dear beboy tea, sir, a hano.
Maybe a man is almost me. Maybe Chief of Crown was on the crowd more 3 days as
the nurses have refused to take care of them, but they still insist on not taking care of me.
Physician assistants are mostly in charge of health centres and CHIP compounds in rural communities. Their absence has created a vacuum in healthcare delivery. A laboratory technician at the Kenyasi Health Centre, Isaac Owusupoku, pleaded with government to help resolve the situation.
The government is trying to look down on the PAs. Why? Because if you come here and you are being referred to bigger hospitals, I think you can go and receive your treatment. So it's an indirect insult on behalf of the PAs. And I think government must have done something immediately to solve this issue. Not even waiting for about 24 hours. Yes, because when doctors go on strike, immediately they call for a meeting, press conference, and they will tell them to go back to work. Perhaps we're even getting to almost 2 weeks now, and they are still on strike. So why? So I suggest government should call them right now and talk to them and resolve the issues. No matter the quantum of the issue, it can be solved immediately.
The physician assistants insist on resuming work only when their concerns are addressed. Reporting for Joy News, Nana Boachi Dankwayadom.
All right, time for us to bring you showbiz, and Becky Bex is here.
Good to see you, Brace.
You're not used to it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean,
forget about Blessed Soga. I miss you.
Why?
We won't talk about it. We'll talk about what we can talk about. Is a Showbiz Roundtable, the biggest entertainment roundtable talk happening at the weekend at the Labadi Beach Hotel put together by Joy Entertainment, and we had, industry players advising us on a lot of things. One of the things that Anklebo, who was part of the round panel, spoke about was sponsorship, how the things you should do when you're seeking for sponsorship don't always, according to him, concentrate on the money.
When you are seeking sponsorship, when you have sponsorship, and after you've received sponsorship. So let us go. Number one, don't always ask for money. Unfortunately, too many event organizers are always looking for money. There are brands and companies that would want to support your event, but may not have money. They may not have the budget to give you cash, but they may have products. They may have services. So for instance, a hotel may not be able to give you money, but a hotel may be able to give you space. A hotel may be able to give you some refreshment or even some rooms. So don't always look for money. Sponsorship also comes in kind. So look for those. Number two, once you sign the contract, the sponsorship contract, make sure you deliver on the contract. Unfortunately, the experience for many companies have been that the guys come looking for the sponsorship. Once they get it and they get the money, they just ignore all the terms of the contract.
Anklebo White, the CEO of Roverman Production. But Brace, this is for the lover of jazz.
Okay.
People, do you love jazz?
I do.
It's expensive. Jazz is expensive. So this is for jazz people because, a new package from internationally acclaimed jazz trumpeter, composer, and arranger, Derek Gardner, together with the Jazz Prophets, the performer, launch his latest initiative, Jazz Accra Repatriation Project, at the Coltrane Jazz Club in Adenta.
The three-stage project is an ambitious venture that aims to establish Accra and Ghana by extension as the hub of jazz music on the African continent. Derek explains the project as a prominent strategy to foster the possibility of collaborative performances with other ensembles, both musical and non-musical. He sees it as an opportunity to reconnect and pay homage to ancestral roots, as the project embodies the return of not only people who are part of the African diaspora, but the art form that keeps African history alive.
Is right here in Accra. He is more than likely the ringleader of jazz here in Accra. When I discovered him, I said, oh my goodness, where have you been hiding all my life? Please give it up for Mr. Victor Day.
At the launch, the band exhibited their dexterity via electric performances rooted in the spirit and traditions of the African diaspora.
So, Brace, you know where to go. So, just right across the, it's not across the street, it's at, it's at Adenta. So you should, for those of you who love jazz, that's for you. But on Prime Movie Box this evening, for hip-hop lovers, people who are into hip-hop and, the women in hip-hop, this is for you. And for showbiz, I'm sure that'll be all for the entire news bulletin here on Joy News Prime. For more news, everybody, log on to myjoyonline.com. That's where you find all the news. Please log on to the entertainment site. You see all of the entertainment stories. We love you. Do we have anything to do with Pepsodent? Should we brush our teeth?
We don't. Pius Kojobaka is rather coming next with Prime Business. Good evening.